Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm here with Miranda. She's a former student from OCAD's environmental design.
Yeah.
And I'm a former student from Ryerson School of Interior Design. And today we're going to be talking about the types of differences and similarities that are within these programs and help you guys maybe decide whether you want to pick one program over the other.
A lot of the OCAD people for interior design, as far as I see, actually sketch their plans over tracing paper and stuff like that.
It's more like artistic rather than like you have like a printed out like,
exactly.
formal proposal.
Yeah,
right?
I think up till like the fourth year, I don't know how to print on 36 by 42 or anything larger.
Yeah. That was actually basically a requirement for us going into like second year and third year.
Yeah.
Because we needed to know how to scale our drawings correctly for our presentations because when you're printing out a panel and you look at a plan, right, you have to make sure that it's to scale. And some of the crits that we get will actually point out if a plan's not to scale, and they can tell. They can look at it and be like, this doesn't look right. That door should not be that size.
Right, yeah. That's the best part about like OCAD though, like because you have to get to know the profs, especially like I don't know about you guys when you guys take out thesis, but for thesis for us, we have to pick the right prof. We have a professor who is more familiar with, the technical aspects of stuff or the architectural side of stuff or the interior side of stuff. And then I actually went and applied to get into a course of an interior designer prof. So for thesis. And he actually told me, he's like, your idea is so crazy and so ambitious that you should be in the concept thinking course, concept thinking thesis teacher.
Okay.
So I actually got kicked out of my favorite prof's thesis class, and I was forced into this professor's class, which is more conceptual, more artistic, and kind of more like you build something that's technically not possible, but you do it anyway, kind of thing.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more the conceptual part of the design. They actually cater to your needs, I would say, because they see your project and they're like, I don't think you're good for this course, so you should go to the other one.
That's interesting because my last year of school, our profs were actually based on a lottery system, and then everyone was like, what is this? Why are we not able to choose our profs? It was really weird because they gave us a list of the 5 profs that were doing these classes, running the classes, and you had to pick your most preferred to your least preferred.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And then some people, I'm not gonna say specifically who because names, but there were profs that were not as preferred as other people, right? If you place them as maybe like your 4th option, right? Even though you really didn't want them, maybe they should have been your last option. Since they were your 4th option, you might actually have gotten your 4th choice because so many students didn't want to be with the specific prof.
Dang.
Right? They have their preference, but when you just have a bad rep as a prof, then you can't really avoid that.
I would say do your research.
So with the professor selection, it was kind of limited. It wasn't like you could actually select the prof that you just got what you got, or you could switch with your friend. I think in doing so, you kind of had to learn how to adapt to your situation a bit better, because if you're not, you won't always get your favorite project, right? Especially in the industry, I'm sure you've had plenty of experiences where you're kind of just tossed something, you're like, I don't want to do this, but you have to do it anyways. And you just kind of look at the workarounds and see what you can do and what you can control. Because I know you guys have a more developed with like workshop space and studio space. I'm not entirely sure how you guys divide it. I was wondering like what was your experience in spending time actually at OCAD and working there with other students as well?
Yeah, we can answer that. So in the beginning years, I want to talk about first the workshop, the hands-on part of it. We don't have a model making space per se. We do have a first year model making shop, but we share it with sculpture students and other art students. So it's not like specifically for us. So it was a really difficult time because we also share it with first year students. Okay, so it's not it's a very communal space with a lot of people doing different projects. So there are many people with different needs, and the technician over there has to cater to all of them.
Yeah.
So it got really difficult, and knowing there's machines in there and stuff like that, being the first year of me, obviously that frightens me. But after first year, second, third, and fourth, you start using the different shops that cater towards a specific material or a specific year of it.
So it's less communal, right?
Exactly. It's less communal, and people kind of know what questions you might be getting into. So say, for example, you go into the wood shop, obviously you're going to be doing something related to wood, whether it be you buying plywood for laser cutting, whether you be, making something out of solid wood. They know how to answer these questions. They're very well educated, and they're very well experienced. In terms of workshops, in terms of our workspaces, we don't get our own workspaces up until the fourth year. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it's only for thesis students. So there's the main building where a few desks are available, and it's just your desk for the year, right? You get to decorate it however you like, but that's where your model basically sleeps, right? That's where you make your model, that's where you eat, that's where you sleep. And then there's another building. There's another building right beside the above ground that they already tore down, but that used to be my space.
Okay.
That space is a lot roomier. You get to kind of pick and choose who you get to sit with and blah blah blah, and then you start to develop a connection with your friends or your the fellow students that it starts becoming a more well-connected space. But however, the downside to that is that one, there are stairs, and two, you need to transport your project to the main building. So that was the difficult part.
Did you live downtown at the time?
No, I did not. I had to commute.
Okay. So how much time did you actually spend in school outside of class working on your projects? Because I know it can get pretty crazy, right?
To be honest, for the first 3 years, I was very homebound. Every time after a course or after the day is done for OCAD, I went straight back home. A lot of the times I do my projects there. I do a lot of stuff, like after I laser cut it at the school, I would bring it to school. Yes, I take it home.
You always damage your project when you're commuting. It's like, there's no going around that. Like,
so believe it or not, I actually took a 4x8 project made out of foam core onto the GO train. Anyways, everyone was staring at me, and I had to carry it through Union Station, the subway.
You mean like a 4x8 sheet?
Yeah, a 4x8 box, actually. 4x8 by like 6 box. Yeah. It's part of my project. So, and it was crazy heavy too. Anyways, yeah, so that was my experience. I would recommend doing that at school. But at that time, the first year me, very, very scared, don't know how to use the machines and stuff like that. You would want to do things at home. But after my years of experience, my recommendation is do not do it at home. However, your locker is not that big. So that is the main problem. You have to find a place to store it before you hand it in. So that's the main problem. But during half of third and then fourth year, I realized, I can't do this anymore. I need the machines. And for fourth year, thesis, you get to stay as late as you want. However, that being said, OCAD is not 24 hours.
They're not 24 hours?
They are not 24 hours.
Oh my god.
So you get kicked out. You get kicked out at like 12 or 1 a.m.
That
okay?
Sucks.
So if you're lucky,
oh my god.
I had friends that were able to sneak past the security and hide in a place, and then they get to stay overnight. I had friends that were like that, but they come around and be like, hey, you gotta get going in half an hour and stuff like that. They kick you out. It's not 24 hours like Ryerson, so you gotta plan your time very well. But the problem is they open at 6, so I leave at 1, I go back uptown, and then I come back at 6.
That's gonna be the worst.
That was my thesis. Those were my thesis days.
Oh my goodness.
So, we're not as fortunate as Ryerson, who has the capability to keep it 24 hours.
Yeah.
Especially the shops. The shops close at 8.
Yeah.
So,
our shop's not 24 hours. You can't stay in there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but ours close at 8.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Ours, some days they close at 9, some days they close at 5 or 6.
5 or 6? Oh, wow. Yeah. It's not the best when it comes to like people who do furniture design. They're like, you gotta get out, but your project's
plan around shop hours.
Exactly.
That's all you do. Interior design at Ryerson, they actually they let you stay 24 hours.
Yeah.
And we have our communal studio space on the 2nd floor. I imagine that it's not as much space that you guys have, but we do have a smaller amount of students going there than OCAD. We have 100 something desks, and every year, except for the first year, so year 2, 3, and 4, there is a certain amount of people that get their own dedicated desk and space. But if you get your desk, then you don't get a locker.
Oh.
Yeah, because we don't have enough lockers.
Fair
for all
trade.
Yeah, so all first years get a locker, and then if you're in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year, then you can kind of apply to get a desk. That's done through their course union. In getting a desk, right, like it definitely does encourage you to spend more time in that space, especially knowing that you have your own space. But do keep in mind that the building is open to the public for during working hours.
That's true.
And I actually had my bag stolen in my last year.
Oh.
It was actually
Crazy.
during the winter break, but just keep in mind that you won't be the only person that's allowed to your desk, right? People can just grab stuff out your desk, so just be careful with what you bring to school and where you put it. Students have a strong support group there in working there. Even though I did commute as well, I actually spent a lot of my time, even 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year, just at school. You can see that in some of my old blogs that I made, but sometimes being 24 hours, right, we would go a couple days, a few days without going home. Some people would literally just sleep on the tables there. I think with the overall experience, there was a lot of camaraderie amongst your classmates, and just to get Ryan out a project or get something done.
We're a little different. The culture for the 3D part of the side, because environmental and industrial design is considered the 3D part, whereas illustration and graphic is 2D, right? So for our 3D department, we're actually quite isolated. Even between industrial design and environmental design, ED students are always a little bit more isolated.
But you guys don't talk with each other?
The thing is, there's a weird culture in my year where we don't ask and people don't tell. No one would be like, hey, look at my project, the one I'm working on, kind of thing. And it's so cool.
It's like that.
No, we don't do that. So what happens is that we don't throw ideas around. People take criticism quite seriously. In my year, I don't know if it still exists, so I can't speak for the entire OCAD. But for ED, it was really difficult for me because I wasn't able to learn, and professors aren't always there for you to answer questions for you. So a lot of times I like to look at my fellow students' projects and kind of don't want to share their ideas. So this is the problem that went on with our year, where oh, what are you working on? Oh, it's a building for offices. Oh, okay. What's your concept? What's your precedent? We don't talk enough. There are various times where when you share an idea to someone, it ends up being part of their project. So this is what ED students were always afraid of. So that was the culture going on in environmental design. That's why when it came to 4th year, since we didn't have desks or anything to share, we only have really tiny lockers. A lot of things were kept to ourselves.
With the workshop at Ryerson, we actually are affiliated with the Design Fabrication Zone, which is also another Ryerson community. So the workshop in the interior design building is actually one of the Design Fabrication Zone's workshops. With that, right, there is also kind of like a fabrication community in Ryerson, which I actually like really appreciated because that helped me give me access to more like specific shop times that are exclusive for DFZ projects.
Okay.
So those were kind of like my extracurricular stuff. But with the workshop, they mostly prioritize it for the first and second years because they of course is that mainly deal with model making in those years. But once you get into third year, it becomes more optional whether or not you choose to make a model for your project.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So like I found it pretty crazy that you guys had to make it all 4 years. But once you're in your third year, right, you can make a model or you don't have to, right? It doesn't matter as much. With that being said, right, that means if people that wanted to continue model making, it was a lot more difficult to get shop access because it was prioritized for the first and second years, and if there's a class going on, you can't go during class hours. Depending on the prof. Some profs, they actually will just kick you out. If it's during which just makes it really inconvenient, right? Because you only have a limited number of shop hours, and then it's cut down by the class times of the first and second years.
Well, for OCAD, the fabrication studios, with what I said before, the wood shop, the plastic shop, the metal shop, they're all geared towards a specific material. OCAD, it's a smaller university. They have smaller spaces, a controlled setting where there's only allowed
it's more curated, right?
There's only allowed that many people of capacity in that shop at one time. However, since OCAD is so small, the community is very tight knit. So if you've been in the wood shop for like very long time working on this same particular project, you will start to get to know people around because there will always be the same people that works on their project just as long as you have. It's not just the students in your same course, but it's like other people from other discipline or other programs that are doing this project that they find it as a hobby. Within each specialization of materials, the community is actually quite tight-knit. If you've been there long enough, you start to know everyone by name, which is like great as a community, but it's really hard to get into a particular shop if you're not in that discipline.
Well, at least you guys have the actual shop space or like the opportunity.
Yes.
Is there. Barely have any metalworking tools. Most of it's just for wood. Plastics we have a little bit. We have CNC, laser cutting, 3D printing. But if we're talking about something more specialized like ceramics and sculpture, we don't have that. Let's cut it off there. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to message me at my Instagram somewhere here, and then her Instagram, Laconic Story.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And then it'll be somewhere up there. Then feel free to message us, and we'll try to get back to you guys and respond. Because I know going into university was such like a tremendous growing experience, and starting off definitely wasn't easy.
Good luck, guys.
Miranda actually does ceramics.
I'm not an interior designer anymore.
She went to OCAD for ED, and what's crazy is that you actually went back for ceramics to specialize in ceramics, right?
Ceramics minor in 2017.
Yeah, so that's something that Ryerson doesn't have at all. Like the option to go back and then take another minor. Like it's much more difficult to get into something like that at Ryerson. But she does some great ceramics. I'm probably gonna cut this and leave some clips of her work here. So if you guys have some time, right, and you're interested in ceramics, feel free to check out her work. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Again, special thanks to Miranda Lee for being featured in this video. Feel free to check out some of her ceramics, and I would recommend following on her Instagram because she's always posting her process videos, educating others a little bit more about what she does, and overall just making really beautiful pieces. I'll see you guys in the next week's video.